I have to rewrite the code for my entire game. I had a huge issue when I started working on the netcode for my game. I didn't write any of it to work with it from the start. You see, I built everything just like an API, which in some situations that's fine. But when you're dealing with netcode for game objects, you don't really need it like that. So this meant I needed to rework a lot of code. And I started by just going into my old scripts and trying to add the network stuff to them. But this turned out to be a very big mistake. Once I realized that I just needed to rewrite a bunch of things, I actually got a lot more progress. It just meant taking a lot of my old code and kind of throwing it out. Which I know to a lot of you sounds crazy and is pretty scary when you start doing it. You think, why did I put all this time into this other code? Well, I'm here to tell you, it was the best idea I ever had because I started making way more progress after I started doing that. So for today's devlog, I'm going to show you what I have got rewritten, and I'll show you what I still need to do. At this point, I've gotten all of the opening stuff done. So that's your start menus, your match and lobby creation, and even the start of the game, where you pick your units and create your sort of deck that you're going to be using of dice for the game. Now I can start working on the match itself. I've got it so that two different screens running two different sessions can now talk to each other over the network, and they're able to start a game with each other. Their own screens act independently while still keeping the data in sync. From there, I was able to move into the first turn of the first player. And this includes that person picking 3 of their dice that they want to roll. Those 3 dice will also be available to summon if they happen to roll enough of the summon crests. I've ended up using my old unit selection screen because there wasn't much changes needed for that. The next screen, though, was the roll screen, which took whatever 3 dice you picked, rolled them randomly, and then showed you those crest outputs. Before, I was using a top-down camera that showed you a top-down view of the whole board from a fixed point of view. Now we're using a single camera for the whole game. This camera is locked into place at the beginning of the game, and once you get past the initial selection and rolling phases, it will then allow you to move the camera around for either summon placement or unit movement or other actions that you want to take. Now that we don't have a top-down camera anymore, we use the camera we do have, put a panel behind it so that you can still see the dice, and give the continue button in the middle. Once selecting to continue, you will be brought to the summoning phase. This allows you to move the camera around finally. Oh my god, did this camera take forever to figure out. Bruh. But I think the results speak for themselves. Why don't you take a look? Before, with the fixed camera, all you could do is hover over different sections and pick a pattern and then click and summon. With this one, you can actually move around the board and it puts a pointer where you're going to be placing something. I'm still working on it getting the patterns to show on the squares at this moment, but at least for now you can see the idea of what I'm going for. In the old one, a lot of the right hand of the screen was taken up by patterns and by the units you're going to summon. The change I've enacted is to move the units to the bottom and kind of squish them down a little more so you can see more of the screen. I then took the patterns, and instead of being a scrollable list of them, is now a single pattern shown with a left and right button that allows you to switch between them. This will also allow people with controllers to select patterns using a button combination. Based on the 3 units you picked at the beginning, you'll have an option to pick from them based on whether or not their summon cost equals the number of summon crests that you have in your pool. As far as things that are finished, this is basically where I am at this time. But what am I doing going forward? That's a great question to ask, random made-up YouTube follower. Well, next up is taking the pattern that you've selected and showing it on the squares. This means showing them in red when they're in a position that you can't summon them, and blue when you're in a position that you can. There will also need to be rotation options so that you can take the pattern and rotate it either direction so that you can fit it just right into your board positioning. Just like the buttons on the left and right hand side of the pattern section, I want to put rotation buttons at the top on the left and right to allow you to rotate the pattern and even take the sprite and show you what that pattern would look like rotated. Rotating, rotating, rotating. Production value. After you've decided where you want the placement of the unit you want to summon is, you can then click the Place Unit button in the top right corner, and this will take the pattern and solidify it on the board. This will also place that unit at the center of where the dice unfolds. After that, we're into actions, baby! Get to the chopper. Now. Actions will include things like attacking, moving, or using abilities off of your units. Well, I hope this was a good look into where the game is at this point. Luckily, a lot of what I've been doing, I've been able to take code that I already wrote and use it in another way, meaning taking pieces of it and kind of reworking it into this network code. And here soon, when I finally have a version that we can play with other people, I would love to play with you guys. Comment down below if you would like to play this game with me live on stream. And remember, friends, like and subscribe, because that feeds the algorithm. No! No! Don't eat me, algorithm! No! No!